Now, this is how to PG your way to up to $250,000 at 0% interest. And this is the exact system that I use at Scale with Credit, which is my funding and credit repair company that is doing over 6 figures a month. Now, first of all, we're going to get into who this is for. Maybe we got business owners looking for growth, expansion, or just looking at 0% capital for better cash flow. Okay. Next, maybe we have newer business owners. You're looking to start a new business and you want the exact system that is the least risk amount to get capital at the best rates possible. Okay. Or maybe you're a real estate investor. Maybe you're doing Section 8. Maybe you're doing, housing. Like literally does not matter. Maybe you're just a real estate investor, fix and flip or whatever, and you're looking for some low risk capital at 0% interest to scale more properties or, pay for contractors, pay for equipment, whatever it may be. It all works the same for every single type of business model. It does not matter. Okay. Now, next, what is needed? Number one, we have a 720 plus credit score. Okay. And this is made up of many different things, right? Like you got utilization, you have, how many accounts. Oh my God, don't mind my handwriting. How many accounts, you have age, and you have multiple different factors, which equals that 720 plus credit score, okay? And that goes into the personal guarantee because it is all based off your personal credit, okay? Now, the first thing we need is $5,000 in personal credit card limits. We use these as comparable limits, right? Think about your bank, you're optimizing the profile. If you have $500 in limits, that looks horrible, okay? They're not gonna give you a $50,000 line or a $50,000 business credit card if you only have $500 in limits. And this is exactly why we need those high limits, okay? We need comparable lines. Holy smokes, my handwriting is so bad. But yeah, comparable lines. That is super, super important. Okay, that's a check mark. Anyway, next, we need 1 to 2 installment accounts. That could be a car loan, mortgage, or a personal loan. Okay, and what I mean by this is we need a good mix. Okay, we can't just have $5,000 in limits and have nothing else on the file. Okay, because if we don't have a good mix, okay, and we just have a thin profile, that equals denials. Okay. That's a D, I swear. Okay, thin profile equals denials or low limits, which that's pretty much the same thing. Okay, now we need no new inquiries in the past 6 months. Now, if you have inquiries from denials or you have inquiries from business credit cards, those can all be removed because they're not related to personal accounts. Okay, if you have a bunch of inquiries from credit cards or loans, whatever, that are actually showing up on your personal profile, those cannot be removed. If you try to remove those, it is going to send a huge red flag to the creditor and then also the bureaus, and it's going to risk getting the account closed. Now, I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying you shouldn't, okay? Now, you need at least $2,000 to $5,000 to put in the bank accounts to show good history. You got to think about banks like a girl. You can't just take a girl home on the first night because then that's probably not a good girl. Now, you need a 1-year-old plus company, okay? This is super important. We need age. We can't just be applying on a brand new LLC and expect to get $250,000. Okay, if you're applying on a brand new LLC, that $250K is not possible. Now, can you get 60 to 80? Maybe, but if you're looking for 250, we need some age. Now, we can solve for this. Now, if you don't have one, you can buy what we call Shelf Corp. Okay, these are basically LLCs that have been on the shelf that people are just paying the yearly renewal fees. And they sell them, put your info in it once they sell it, and now it looks like you have, an aged company, okay? Typically, we recommend having a 6-year-old plus LLC, but with 1-year-old plus, that's fine, okay? Now, no negative remarks. We have to remove those first, and that's where we're going to get into the credit profile audit and optimization, okay? Now, number 1, we are going to pull your credit reports from Smart Credit. This is what we use, MyFreeScore, Experian, Credit Karma. Smart Credit just has it all in one place. And this is going to give us a bird's eye view of the 3 bureaus that we need to do an audit on, okay? We have Experian, we have TransUnion, here I'll just abbreviate it, and then we have Equifax, okay, so EQ. These are the 3 main bureaus. Now, they kind of have those sub-bureaus like FICO 7, FICO 8. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. We just have Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, okay? You could have negatives on Experian, but your TransUnion could be clean or vice versa. So we need to make sure all 3 bureaus are clean, okay? That is super, super important. Now, we need to optimize your entire file, okay? Maybe you don't have negatives, but maybe you have hard inquiries or old addresses or closed accounts, negatives, whatever it may be. We need to make sure your file is fully clean before doing any type of application, okay? Clean file equals no red flags, okay? And once we have that, then we can kind of move into what it looks like to actually start doing the business structuring. Okay, so clean file is most important because we know if we go back up here, we're going to be PGing our way to 250K. So that means personal guarantee, and that means it's all based off your personal credit, okay? Next, once you pass this checklist, then we can get into the company structuring. So if your Experian, your TransUnion, and Equifax are all clean, you have no negatives, you have no old inquiries or no old addresses that are showing, up at all, and you just have no accounts that are showing negative, then we pass that checklist and we are ready to move on to optimizing your company structuring. Okay, this is super, super important because yes, it is all based off your personal credit, but if your company structuring isn't proper, we are going to get low limits or denials or not even be able to open the bank accounts, okay? Now, we need to make sure that we are using low risk NAICS codes on all of our applications, okay? And I'll give you an example of what low risk looks like, okay? We have consulting. This is super low risk. Consultants don't really go bankrupt. We kind of have faded away from this, but consulting still works, okay? Now that could be tech consulting. That could be, it does not matter. Any type of consulting is generally fine, okay? Now we have other ones like property management and whatever, but now I'm going to show you what high risk is. And these are something that you do not want to apply with whatsoever, okay? We have high risk, so we'll put that up here. High risk. And this is going to lead to either denials or super low limits, okay? General real estate. So we'll go general RE, and everybody knows real estate deals go south all the time. Now, I'm not saying that if you're a real estate guy, maybe you're a fix and flipper, there are ways to get around this, okay? Now, maybe you are a general real estate guy. We want to have a low risk NAICS code. We'll call it like a subcode. And we'll do property management, okay? Because property management isn't actually doing the deals itself, and property management, we'll just put property manager, and this is low risk. So this is something that you can apply with, okay? General real estate, we're gonna put an X here because you cannot apply with general real estate. You will get denied every single time. Now, if you need a list of high risk NAICS codes, you can go on Google and it will show you high risk, okay? We have consumer lending, tobacco, gasoline, alcoholic beverages, anything like casino and gaming especially. Like if you are in any of these businesses, you can still get funding, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier if, you're just not, okay? Especially when you're getting 0%. Now you're gonna have to get private investors for this and, hard money, and that's, for huge companies, okay? We're focusing on 0%. Okay. Now, having legitimate business emails and domains. Now, think about this. Let's say you're applying to a bank and you have a Gmail. You don't look legit. You're going to get stuck with low limits because you don't look like you have something that is actually operating. Okay. Now, we need to make sure we have proper domain setup. Okay. And what that looks like is having an actual business workspace or like a Google workspace or even a business email. It doesn't matter where it's hosted from, but you need to have name, right? So this could be whatever you want. Okay. And then we're going to go at companyname.com, okay? That is going to be super important. If you do have this, you are a lot likely to get a higher limit, okay? Name at company.com. Now, you also need to have a website. If you don't have one, you can go to Base44, okay, and make one in 5 minutes or less by just typing in exactly what you want, and the app will literally build it for you. Okay, that is what we have all of our clients use for our newer guys. If they don't have a legit website, you go to Base44, connect your domain, host your Google email and Google Workspace, and boom, now you have a full setup. And kind of same thing with real estate, right? A lot of real estate guys, maybe if you have a fix and flip website, you need to make sure you have a property management website. And if you don't have one, buy a new domain, set it up in Base44, and you're pretty much ready to go. Now, setting up a Better Business Bureau account in a Duns Bradstreet, it's not, mandatory, but it looks better. The banks are going to be searching your name all over the internet and looking if you have a BBB account in a Duns Bradstreet. Just makes it a lot easier, and this will go into building business credit. It isn't the most important thing, but it can be the difference of like 5 to 20K in limits, just depending on what bank you're at and if you plan on going for SBA loans, business lines of credit, whatever, okay? Now, kind of building business credit long term. We call that a Paydex score, so we'll have Paydex, Okay, you can do this. You can go to Grainger.com and start ordering boxes, for example, and you can get net 30s, and that'll help you build that. Now, make sure you have a Duns & Bradstreet number and your Better Business Bureau set up, and then you can start building net 30. This will help you out in the long term when you go for bigger types of funding. Okay. Now, this is the part about building your actual 250K sequence. What we do is we use a funding GPT to build a custom sequence dependent on your current file, and I will show that here. Okay, so this is our funding AI. We use this for helping optimize files, building sequences, analyzing reports, literally whatever it is, it can do it. Obviously, we manually review everything as well, but this will just give us a general breakdown. I didn't even look at this file, so hopefully it's a an already optimized file, but you guys will get the point. So now obviously this isn't the most optimized file, but not everybody starts in the same place. So it looks like we have 2 late payments we have to optimize. It gives us a rundown of like what relationships, if we have multiple cards with the 5K limit we talked about, and their funding readiness scores. So it looks like we're at that 700 plus, decent profile, no collections, no charge-offs. We have multiple revolving, which is good. But then it gets into the weaknesses and, kind of gives us a breakdown of how we're going to advise the client on kind of doing a breakdown. Okay. So it looks like utilization's a bit high, and we have a few cards that are above the 15% threshold that we like to be at. But we're around that 30% or lower rate, which is decent. Okay. So it looks like we have a few cards at 80%. Once we get those down, we're pretty much good to go. So obviously I didn't put in his business information. I would have. But it kind of gives us a general sequence of what banks have 0% cards and, from the location he's at. Okay. So this is basically just a small sequence we built. Looks like we're going for the Amex Business Blue Plus, and then, Chase, and then Bank of America. And it basically built us out a full sequence and gave us an amount that he can be approved for at his current spot. Now, typically, we want to shoot for the stars here and get him 250K, just depending on how much he needs for his business. But this is a general amount that he can get with his current profile. Now, we always make sure to optimize 100% before going for any type of applications, just because we want to make sure our clients are in the best position to win before we do anything. Okay. Now, going on to number 2, we have, starting opening those business checkings. Now, if we go back to the GPT, it gives us an exact list of banks that we are going to open. Now, this would just be for round 1. Once we get into round 2, let's say if he needs more capital, we'll kind of start stacking the smaller credit unions. We have a master list of them, but this is pretty much a general idea of, what we're looking at. Number 3, we are going to be spreading out cash into accounts. So let's say we have account 1, account 2, account 3, and account 4. Actually, we'll put a 5 there. We'll put a 5 there as well. And we're going to spread out the cash across the bank account. So let's say we have a 10K pot. Okay. We're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. This is pretty much what we can do. So we can stack, 5 approvals across the span of 30 to 60 days. Now, 10K is a very small amount. If they have more, this works a lot better, but you get the idea. Maybe if they only have 5K, we'll put, 5K here, 5K here, run these 2 banks. Okay, that once we run that, move on to the second, put 5K, 5K, run it, get the approvals, and then, so on and so forth. Put 10K in this account and run the approvals. Now, I'm not saying you do need a lot of cash for this, but it is, best practice if we have 2 to 5K in each account. We're showing a little bit of history, and we are just building that relationship with the bank over the course of 15 to 30 days, just depending on what bank. Some are more relationship based than others, but you get the general idea of kind of how the structuring looks. Okay. Now, final execution. Now, we have a master sheet that we have been working on for the last 2 years, and we have a list of over 400 bankers across 20 different banks that we all have connections with. And before we do any type of applications, okay, this is you're ready to do an application, and we are going to intro you to our bankers at various different banks. So we have Chase here, okay, and then we have Bank of America, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now we're going to intro you to the 2 different bankers, set the meetings, and we're going to be running applications almost simultaneously, just depending on what bank pulls what bureau. So if you guys didn't know, okay, we have the 3 bureaus, EQ, and they pull from different bureaus. Okay. So like, let's say we have here, we'll pull Chase here, we'll pull BOFA, Bank of America, and then we'll pull Truist, and maybe this is round 1. Okay. And these banks are pulling different bureaus. So Chase pulls Experian and TransUnion. So let's say we go for Chase first. Now we have Chase that pulls from 2 bureaus. So now we have one hard inquiry here and one hard inquiry here. Now, Truist only pulls from Equifax. So we can run this at the same exact time as Chase because they are not going to be able to see that we just had 2 recent inquiries on here. Now, Bank of America only pulls from TransUnion. So you can run and stack a second one here. So now we're at 2 total. I know this probably looks retarded, but you kind of understand the point. We are sequencing in a way to where we can run the most amount of applications at once without stacking multiple hard inquiries on the same bureau. Now, mind you, once we finish a round, we wipe all the inquiries and move on to round 2, but this just gives you a general idea of how the structuring works to make sure we can run 3, 4, or 5 applications at the same time, and they're all pulling different bureaus, okay? This wasn't the best example because Chase pulls, from 2 bureaus, sometimes even 3, but you get the general idea, okay? Now, we're making sure we have the correct data points that we have been testing over hundreds of applications, okay? Now, let's say if your business is already doing more than $1 million a year, typically this does not, apply for you. But if you're running a brand new business, we have certain revenue and certain, projected revenue that we're going to be submitting, okay? I'll give you an example. Typically, we want to be around the 1.1 million projected revenue for that year at Chase, for example, okay? Chase always really likes to see 120 plus K personal, okay? And then when we go for monthly estimated spend, we want to be around 45K so we can get that 50K limit, okay? That's where we want to be. This is just a general idea for Chase, for example, but different banks have different scenarios. Like Bank of America, you're not going to be putting 1.1 mil projected revenue unless you're actually doing, more than that, okay? As long as we're following that sequence step by step, you're going to be able to get $100,000 plus as long as your profile is optimized, you have the right data points, you're doing it with bankers, and you know exactly what you're doing, okay? Now, if you're following everything we just went over in this video, or you plan on working with us, these are the type of results that you can expect, okay? We have a 50K approval from our client, Ethan, Ken, $10,000 limit, Jax, $50,000, we have Gamard, $90,000, and Dylan, $114,000, and this is just the first round, guys, okay? This is all from one bank, Chase Bank, and this is all either the Inc. Cash or the Inc. Unlimited. So if you have a 720 plus credit score, you're looking to start a new business, or you're running a current one and you just want more cash for better margin, better cash flow, or general expansion or marketing, whatever it is, I'm going to drop a link below in the description. Fill out our quick application, then schedule a call with either me or my team, and we will show you how we can implement this directly into your business to guarantee minimum of $100,000 at 0% interest. Now, we also have tons of credit repair testimonials. I can keep scrolling up for days and days, right? We have, plus 44, plus 80, plus 45. You get the point. If you're not at that 720 plus yet, and you want to have your file optimized by my team of professionals, I will leave that as the second link in the description, and you can get started today for $0. Yes, we have a free trial on our credit repair, so if you want to get disputes in before you even pay a single dollar, I will leave that there. Now, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment on what you want to see next, and I will make sure that I can get a video out for it. I'm focusing this channel on all raw, straight value videos. So if you like that, drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.